My name is Monica Stitt-Bergh, and I'm in the assessment office at the University of Hawaii at Manoa in the United States. I'm going to speak a few minutes about a Writing Across the Curriculum program and why a university might want to start one on its own campus. Writing Across the Curriculum, or WAC as we call it in the United States, has a lot of research behind it. The belief is that, or the research has shown that, students learn more when they write about what they're learning, and they can learn thinking skills through informal writing assignments. In addition, they can also learn to be better writers through writing in the forms of the discipline, such as a case study in a business accounting course or a biology lab report in a biology course. So when you have a WAC program to help students learn through writing and learn to be better writers, it's done by having faculty in the subject areas, so in engineering, in the sciences, in the humanities. It's having those subject area professors use writing, assign more writing assignments in their classroom, both formal writing assignments, like a lab report, and informal writing to learn assignments, which are often done in the classroom itself, and the students might write for 5 or 10 minutes. The belief is that when it's taught in the subject areas, the professors, they are the experts in their own field, so they are the best people to help students learn to write in that field. To help the faculty members in the sciences, in the languages, and so forth, learn how to use writing in their classroom, they need support. So to implement such a program, the university must provide resources, examples, guidance, and so forth. This is often done through an office or a faculty committee or even through the Center for Teaching and Learning. And it requires administrative support and incentives. The first thing that the university would do is clarify the goals of the Writing Across the Curriculum program. The 3 goals, or the 3 principles that are common in the United States, are that the professors who are teaching using writing, they use at least one writing to learn assignment in their class throughout the semester. And they also interact with students while the students are working on their writing assignment. For example, if they're doing a formal writing assignment like a research paper or an executive summary, the students receive assistance during the writing process. They might submit a draft to the professor or to their peers and then get feedback so they can improve their writing and learn how to be a better writer of that particular genre. The third tenet that's often accompanying these first 2, writing to learn and getting feedback, etc., is that the class size should be quite small if the university traditionally has large classes, because the professor will need to read the student writing and grade it and give feedback, or at least mark it as complete or incomplete. So 15 to 20 students is very typical in these writing intensive or writing enhanced courses that you find in universities that have a WAC program. Once enough faculty on the campus have learned how to do this, then they become advocates for the WAC model also, and then they can provide help to their colleagues through sharing their syllabi, sharing their writing assignments, using examples of how they're using informal writing. And informal writing, some very common informal writing techniques are things like the minute paper, where students in the class will write for 1 minute about a topic that they're familiar with or the topic that the professor is interested in teaching them more about. Students can also do an informal assignment such as dialogue online with their peers or with a professional in the field. So carrying on this informal writing is very good for increasing student learning, getting them to use their own language, their own words to convey complex subjects, and to enhance their thinking skills. There are a couple common barriers that I've encountered when working with faculty to try to get them to use more writing in their classroom. The first is that some faculty believe that I'm asking them to teach grammar or teach the rudimentary aspects of written communication. And that's not true. What the WAC program is wanting them to do is teach students the forms of their field and how to think as the professionals do in their academic subject area. And as I said, the faculty in that discipline are the best people to do that. Faculty may also believe that students should have learned to write already. They should have learned before coming to their class how to write like a biologist or an accounting professional or an engineer. Well, writing is really complex, and it takes many repeated trials. So students cannot just learn prior to coming. They need practice, they need guidance along the way. So another barrier that faculty perceive is that it will take too much of their time. So there are time-saving techniques that can be shared with them to help keep the workload manageable and to still gain the benefits of a WAC program. So when leadership supports and provides an office or a faculty committee, etc., the faculty usually learn to be to use the WAC model in their classrooms through online resources, sharing of materials, workshops. There's many resources available on the internet, both in the United States and I'm sure here, other countries in the Middle East and in Europe. So there's lots of resources already available for faculty to draw on. And finally, I'll just say that with the faculty that I've worked with who used to have a very traditional lecture format and would only lecture students, once they started, once they started adding small writing assignments inside their lecture, they found that it energized their teaching. It really engaged students more. And by skimming those short writing assignments that were done in class in the middle of their lecture, the faculty were able to gain valuable information about whether students were learning or where they were struggling. And so they could tailor their instruction to better serve the students and better help them overcome their learning challenges. And no one I know has ever gone back. They really enjoy it, so I encourage faculty to give it a try, start small, and see what happens. So I'm going to switch gears now and talk about how self-assessment can impact learning outcome achievement. By self-assessment, I mean the ability of students to know the external standards or the external performance criteria for a certain outcome, and then to accurately evaluate their own performance and also identify strategies or generate strategies to overcome any learning challenges that they might have in achieving that outcome. So in essence, it's the ability to monitor and evaluate one's own thinking and one's own processes and to use strategies as needed to overcome any challenges. This is a very useful and beneficial skill for students while they're in school and also once they graduate and they're in their careers or in their community lives. The research on self-assessment or self-monitoring is quite strong in showing that just monitoring what you're doing will change behavior. So we can use this to our advantage in education. We can ask students to stop what they're doing or at the end of an assignment and ask them to evaluate what they did, how they did it, to monitor what they did, and this will allow us to guide them to better learning strategies. The reason it's important is because our goal as educators is to help students internalize high quality standards and to understand what high quality work looks like and is. And they don't know that coming in. So we need to help teach them so that they can reach our high level of expectation. Students often come in with idiosyncratic criteria and ineffective learning strategies. So we can ask them self-assessment prompts, and this will help them understand what the criteria are and help them become better learners. For example, a professor could take the description of the student learning outcome that he or she is trying to achieve, or can take the evaluation rubric for that learning outcome and craft a set of self-assessment prompts or self-assessment questions. Then ask students those questions either during the activity or at the end of the activity. Let's say that teamwork is a learning outcome that the professor is trying to achieve. The professor could ask students after they participate as a team member a set of questions like these. During the teamwork, did you encourage alternate ideas? Did you actively listen? Give me an example. Did you encourage a silent member to speak out? Give me an example. Did you ask clarifying questions? What questions did you ask during the teamwork? And then the professor can collect these and look at them and then summarize for the class what the strategies were that students used, and the professor can comment on what he or she thinks is an effective strategy or give alternative strategies to the students. So the next time that they're in the team setting, they can be aware of these criteria and have strategies in order to better achieve being a team member. And that pretty much sums up how you could use self-assessment prompts in order to first convey the criteria that you are seeking for the learning outcome, interrupt students during the process or afterwards in order to get them to reflect on what they did and why, and then encourage them to use better thinking and better studying and better learning strategies so that they can overcome any challenges that they face or help their peers also achieve a high level of learning. This is a quick, easy thing for faculty members to do. It really does not take much time. And so the metacognitive benefits that students receive as a result of this very quick activity, this quick reflective activity, is well worth the time that faculty might invest. So thank you, and I do hope you try self-assessment in order to help students achieve learning outcomes.